Good morning everyone, thanks for joining me. So today I thought I would do a little plant surgery. So I've got lots of plants in pots around the garden that aren't looking particularly at their best, shall we say, and I've got some house plants here as well that are in need of attention. So I've done a little triage of the most of their needs. So these are a couple of house plants that I've just bought in tiny pots, and they're very root bound. So they're dead straightforward. I've got a bag of house plant compost. I'm going to upgrade their pots. This begonia, which is very old, he just needs, I've had a look, he hasn't got roots coming out the bottom, if you can have a look there, but he looks very sort of bare at the top there, so I'll top him up. And then if we come around here, so I don't know about you, but as the season progresses and I do different parts of the garden, I find that anything that isn't looking too great sort of gets pushed to one side. And what's happened in this instance is that all the sort of tubs that haven't really got an identity, like this one over here, now I know for a fact this had a hydrangea in, and is being crowded out by a self-seeded Crocosmia lucifer there, and this brute of a plant, which is very beautiful, but it does grow like a weed, and this is valerian. So all the goodness has been leached out of this pot by all these sort of more weedy plants. So I want to empty him out. I'll probably cut the hydrangea down, give him a good prune, which means he won't flower next year, but give him his own pot in his own space. This was just a tub of viola. They're finished. This is another self-seeded pot. Now he's going to look quite pretty. So these are self-seeded foxgloves. They just need a tidy up. And this is Linaria. So I don't know what colour the foxgloves are going to be, but this will be nice and purple. He's okay. This is Sweet William. That's okay. But then if we look at this basket, which was beautiful, so we've got a wallflower that's spent there. We've got an old dead viola, part of our double glazing there, I think. That is chrysanthemum. That's not going to do anything until the autumn. So this is far too pretty, a big basket. This is just a metal plant stand that I stand it in. I'm going to dig everything out, put some new compost in there, and plant up some of the pelargoniums that I got in the poorly corner, which I mentioned on my last video. Right, and then if you look in this section, so if you're new to the channel, the whole garden doesn't look like this. This is what I mean. All the poorly things have just sort of condensed into this pathway. So it's ironic because this is the main entrance that we use to our house. It goes up the side of the house, and this is what I'm presented with. This is a nice big shaggy box. I'm happy with him. So then we've got this lovely tub here, nice and big and deep, with something very dead in there. If that was alive, it would have started sprouting by now. This is all just self-seeded Linaria. So I'll empty this tub out, put new compost in, and plant something up in that. Then we've got these heucheras here, and they're sort of kisening at the bottom there, if you can see. And they're also, no matter how much I water them, they're drying out very quickly. But I thought, well, the roots aren't coming out the bottom, so I've had a little look and look at the crock in the bottom there. Now I put this in the winter because heucheras are brilliant, but they don't like sitting in wet. But if you took the crock off, they haven't got much water, they haven't got much soil at all. So what I'll do there is take the crock out the bottom. They don't necessarily need a bigger pot. And then I'll take off a lot of this soil, just gently break it up and put new soil in and put these back in because they're lovely and healthy at the top. This one is in a similar state, you see, beautiful at the top, but chisening round the bottom. And if you look, same thing, lots of crock there. And the compost, it's not particularly good. You're probably the same as me, trying out lots of different peat-free composts, and I'm not enamoured of that one. What I find is a good tip, if you've got your own leaf mould that will retain moisture, mix it with your peat-free compost and a bit maybe of your own homemade compost, and that's very good. See, I can tell when I pick these pots up, they're so light, and yet I watered that this morning. So I've got that one there and another beautiful one there. So I've got some beautiful trailing geraniums which I got in a poorly corner. I'm going to put those in these baskets. I've got 2 of these. I'm going to put them in these baskets, and these are going to go in my daughter's garden, because she has 3 children and she hasn't got much time to keep watering things. So geraniums will be the best plant for her because you don't have to be watering them every day. I also treated myself weeks and weeks ago to these beautiful pelargoniums, zonal pelargoniums. I mean, they're great. £1.95 each I paid for these. And these are for my conservatory, but you can see they're already pot bound. And the way to check is just pop your fingers like that at the stem, tip it upside down, and you can see that they need a slightly bigger pot, not a huge pot. So another job I want to do is I've bought this little lavender, and there was a huge lump of valerian here, so I dug that out, and I'm going to put a lavender there, and he'll spill over this corner, and then as I walk past I'll brush against the lavender, so I want him potted up. This beautiful Acer here is getting crowded out by this fern, so he looks kind of okay as it is there, but behind him I have a huge campanula cut and saucer, so this just gets far too congested. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out this Acer, and I'm going to put him into one of the pots that I've just shown you that I'm going to empty. And then along here, so if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that this area of the garden here, I'm going to dig that all out, and we are going to put a wooden greenhouse here. So that's another video in itself. But what I want is I want to keep as much of this border as I can and as much of this shady border as I can. I decided in the other video that I wasn't a great lover of this Aquilegia, this dark one. I love the pale pink, but this doesn't show up very well. So see if it just pulls out. No, I'll have to get my shovel. And the mistake I made last year, because I intended to pull these out last year, was I waited until all the flowers were off, and then if you look at the seed heads that are left, They just look exactly the same as those seed heads, so I couldn't tell what was dark purple and what was pale pink. So I'm going to go in there. This soil is about 50% sand, so all the plants grow giant scale in this part of the garden. There we go. I mean, they're massive, aren't they? Beautiful plants. And I've got hundreds of them. There's a gorgeous little wallflower there. Beautiful. Right, I'll dig this one out, because in here, down here is Rebecca. So he is getting crowded out there. I can't get my shovel in here because it's full of iris, so I'll just have to pull him out. But I can dig this one out. I expected him to come out much easier than this. I should have had my gardening boots on. In fact, I think I may have to go and put them on. Oh, there, he's coming. There we go. That's another one. In fact, what I'm going to do with these is I'll just put them in a black sack with a label, and I'll put them at the gate saying what they are and help yourself, and somebody will take them around here. This is another one here. May as well get them out. There we go. Oh, that sticky weed gets everywhere. Take him out. So over the course of the next 2 weeks, I'm going to start digging everything out of this back border except the Acer and the rose tree, and then we're going to pave this area to stand the greenhouse on. This is just a weed, and then if you can have, that's a lovely geranium there. What I'll do is I'll split this beautiful geum. I'll probably get, well, I'm hoping to get about 10 pieces out of this, and I'm going to plant him around the garden because he'll fill in that dune gap. Right. Okay, so this border is looking a bit more empty now. I'll go and empty one of the big pots now, and then I'll dig that Acer out. So I'll see you back round in the side garden. Right. Wow, he's beautiful. Now what I don't want is any of these other plants in with him. So I want all these weeds out. And he's gonna go in. See, there's a big lump of valerian there. Take him out. And because he's got a big lump of earth surrounding and protecting his roots, he shouldn't even know he's been moved. But you know, that's a beautiful Acer. You just couldn't appreciate the size of him there. Right, so we'll take him and we'll pot him up around here. Right, so this is the tub that I'm going to empty out. And there's nothing that I want to keep or which is alive in there, so let's take that out. Right. And what I do is, when I'm taking a plant out of soil like this, I'm checking the soil to see if there's any vine weevil in or anything. I mean, this is gorgeous soil here. I can see this is full of my homemade compost because I can see all the eggshells broken up in it. And so it's lovely soil, and I'm going to put that back in the bottom of the pot. Right, so that's the dead. Gorgeous. Just have a quick look through, for a thorough look through. Right, I'm going to go and get a bucket of leaf mould. Right, so this is the old compost. That's my leaf mould. I just collect all the fallen leaves in the autumn. I usually go over with my lawnmower, shred them, and then store them in bags. Right, and then we'll add some of this. So this is a peat free, but it's got added John Innes. Add that. Because Acers do like the roots to be kept quite moist, so the leaf mould will help with that. You get a lovely feel-good factor when you're doing this, when you know you're going to make a plant so much happier in its environment. These are just weeds that have started growing in the leaf mould. Leaf mould has no actual nutritional value. It's just there purely to trap as much moisture as possible, so it's a great additive to your compost. Right, so I'm going to start putting this in here. I'm not going to bother putting any crock in the bottom here because I'm going to probably put this, my sister's brought me these little pot feet, and I'm going to put this big pot on them. They're like little Highland cows. Right, so I've sort of 2/3 filled that. This is why you should have your gardening shoes on, because these shoes are now full of soil. Right, I'll get the Acer. He is going to be so happy in here. And this soil that is in there is sort of dry and sandy. So I'm going to put him in there. And then I'll just show you. So he is about, I would say, 2 inches below the rim of this pot, and that's absolutely fine. So we'll put this nice compost down the side of him. Just give the sides a tap, and that will fill in all the spaces, because what you don't want are any air gaps, because the little roots, if you haven't filled them all the sides in with soil, the little roots are just left exposed and they'll just kitten and die. Beautiful. He's going to be so happy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a nice liquid seaweed tonic. Liquid seaweed you can use all year round. It's not actually a food, it's a tonic, and it makes the plant healthier, the plant's roots healthier, so that they're more able to take up all that nitrogen and potassium and phosphate from the soil that they're in. And water him in. I'm going to give him a full watering can of this liquid seaweed feed, and then I'll do this every week with him. And I want that to drain right out the bottom. You can see it's starting to pool there at the top. And any plant that you put in your garden that you've transplanted or you're putting in new from the nursery, soak it in like this so that the surrounding soil is soaked as well. There we go. What I've bought here is a bag of Cotswold stone chippings to dress the top of the pot. And what this does is, it looks very pretty. Oh, look at him. It's just snail. I'm going to put you in there. It looks very pretty, but it also stops the moisture in the soil from evaporating quickly, and it also acts as a weed suppressant, because it stops any light getting to the top of your soil. And I know I'm carrying out this procedure in the sunshine here. I would normally have done this in front of the garage where it's a bit more shady, so it's less stress on the plant. But I've been very quick and I've just run out of space. It's too messy in front of the garage at the minute, so I'd probably fall over something. Oh, I'm loving this. Love it. So he is going to go in the shade now. I'll not leave him in the sun. This is worth its weight in gold. I've just actually bought a new one of these. I can't find it, so I'm using this old rusty one. Right, so you just, if you're carrying heavy plants any distance, it's what they used to move washing machines and things on. Definitely recommend you get one of these if you're like me and you're always moving pots around. So I'm going to go and I'm going to put him in the shade somewhere. Right, fill this up now. If you hear the sound of thumping music in the background, hopefully my new mic with background noise canceller will be working. but the singer Pink is in concert tomorrow, quite near to here. So my daughter's taken my granddaughter along to her first concert. She's 11, she's so excited. So front and foremost is the bacopa, and this bacopa came in one of those modules of sort of half a dozen little plants, much smaller than that, and I didn't need to use him. So what I do in that case is I just get a bigger pot, pop the little plug plant in, and he's grown to this size, because if you just leave them lying in the little module, they run out of food. And I mean, look at all the beautiful root system he's got on there. So just break that up a little bit, pop him in there. Actually, I'll take a bit of this out. I've got lots of lovely, nice, deep baskets, but they just don't work in my garden. It's too windy. They dry out too quickly. So I'm not going to throw them all away, and I just plant them up like this. So this one, trailing geraniums are brilliant value for money. Very low maintenance. I got these in a curly corner sale for £2 each. And you know, if you went and bought a bunch of flowers for £2, how long would they last you, and what would you get for that? Stick him in there. I'll go and have a look and see what I've got that might go in there. Right, take a good lump of that out. Pop him in there. And then his roots will go in with all that lovely new leaf mould and compost there. Oh yeah, I think that looks lovely. Now I've got a watering can full of liquid seaweed again. And I'm going to give extra water to that heuchera there at the back. You'll see the water spilling towards the front because my whole garden is on a wonk. I would love one of those egg chairs, but there's not a flat surface in the garden. And as long as the water can drain away, you can't overwater your newly planted plants. So he is going to be fab. Right, on to the next casualty. So the next things I'm going to do are these baskets. And all you do is, the birds love this, so every year I have to renew it. But this time I'm just using some of last year's and a bit of the old stuff off my basket. So that's it. So it's just aesthetics really, to make it look pretty. Liners, so bits of old compost bag. If you're using refuse stacks, make sure that they're very strong ones and poke holes in the bottom so that the water can go through. And then you just hide all the sort of garish colour away, so you can just see the black, because the geranium is going to spill over. So there, you can sort of finely tune it when you get the plant in, but that is the space that the geranium's going to have all to itself. So that's it there. I'm not going to put anything else in with it, because this geranium will need all of this space to grow in Rachel's garden. Right, so I'm going to put him in there. If you just press the pot into the soil, you've got the space ready made for you then. See, £2 in the clearance. Free his little roots up a bit. In you go. Right. So we don't want that orange to show, you see, so you just tuck that out the way. I'm going to get to the little house plants now. And for these I've got a bag of proper house plant compost. And these plants at the garden centre that's just opened in the town near us. And the buyer was there and he loves buying, like adding to the house plant collection. And we love buying the house plants. And he said this is how they had come in, and he said, you know, if you just pot them up, look at that. How is the plant so healthy when it's so pot bound? So I'm gonna unpick its little roots a little bit to sort of encourage it to sort of go outwards. So this poor little plant's been sitting there a week. I have been watering him, but yeah, I thought today's today, just get all the plants repotted. Right, that's that one done. Look at the roots on that. These are just going to take off. This is a beautiful little oxalis that I bought at Kew. So I'm going to, actually I've got this little pot here that I've been putting the leaf mould in. He'll look quite pretty in that, won't he? So I'll tip a bit of the leaf mould out. Go there, yeah. And what he does is he closes his leaves up when the sun goes in and opens them up when the sun comes out. It's very pretty, him. A lovely little pale pink flower. Although I like very pale, tall plants in my garden because it's so shady, these lovely, rich purple ones do add a pop of contrast. They do show up. But they have to be sort of strategically placed. If I put this in my border, you'd never see them again. Right. And rest assured I will be watering these all like immediately and putting them in the shade. I'll not forget to do that. So I can stop worrying about him for a while. He's great. Right, I think I'll go and plant that lavender. That was the next thing. So I'm going to plant this little lavender here. So I want to take everything out of the general vicinity here that's going to take the nutrients away from him. So I don't need all this linaria here. So I'm going to put him in right up against the wall here, and then he'll spill forward. Get a few more weeds out there while I'm down here. I'm feeling a great sense of accomplishment today, getting lots of jobs done. That's been on my mind. Oh yes, he's very pot bound. If you just gently break the roots on them up the side as well, so that the roots try to repair themselves and they'll grow outwards. That's it. I'll go in there. Beautiful. Right. I shall go and get a watering can of water and we'll water him in. Right, what I think I might dig him up and put him in a pot of his own. Certainly deserves to be showcased more than he is there. So I'll take the dead leaves off. You know, that's because he's been too crowded out. He looks a bit worse for wear at the bottom there and there. Get some air circulating through, doing the world of good. And he'll just go in my little courtyard area. Actually, you know, I don't know, I think I might split him. There we go. Very quick. And there I've got two lovely Brunnera. Right, let's go and get him planted up. I'm going further and further back up the garden into the sunshine here. Put him in there like that. And it's literally like 30 seconds since I dug him up. I know there's a cut where I've switched the camera off and brought him round, but he hasn't been lying outside. It's just immediately into a new pot. He'll never know he's been moved. Put any raggedy leaves off. I'll cut those flowers off as well because we don't want him to make seed. And then a nice drink of water immediately. And he'll go into the courtyard. And you water them until you see it dripping out the bottom of the pot. There you go. Right, where's my other pot? Here we go. Nice drink. That's it, he's coming out the bottom. Right, I'll go and pop them in the courtyard. Right, what I've noticed about this plant here is, if you can see, it's got a very definite split. So there's two plants in there, but I can tell that shouldn't be happening around there, the bottom like that. So I'm going to take him out and split him in two, and then I've got two plants off this. You know, and this is how you fill your garden. So there we are. I hope you've enjoyed that little plant surgery. I feel much better, much more in control, happier that a lot of the plants that really needed some attention have had it. So I've just got some tidying up to do here and then in for dinner. So until next time, bye.